Well, hey, in this video, we are going to talk about traits of a godly woman. I'm so excited to have Tracy in the studio today to talk this through. But before we get into our proverb today, Tracy, do you have an example of a godly woman in your life?
I do. My mom, she was a godly woman. She taught us, most importantly, how to pray. She was a constant prayer, and she taught us how to pray.
That's amazing.
It is.
I have to say, my mom was a great example of that too. I'd get up in the morning before school. She always had her Bible out, and you could tell she was having a quiet time. And that stuck with me, and I feel like she really tried to raise us to love God. So I'm grateful for that. I think that's such a blessing when we're raised with parents.
It is.
That
It's
makes
very
a
helpful.
big difference.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so as we get into this proverb today, here's the deal. We're going to talk about Proverbs 31. And a lot of people get a little freaked out about this particular proverb because they think this is a laundry list of things that just what woman could ever measure up. But we're going to talk today, ladies, and we want to come back to this whole idea that we've been talking about in the entire series on Proverbs, which is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of true knowledge and wisdom.
It is.
And so the woman that's described in Proverbs 31 really, truthfully, was defined by her fear of the Lord. And because of that, things flowed out of her life that are amazing traits, right?
Yes.
And this can be true of us as women.
Yes, absolutely. True today.
True today, exactly.
That's right.
So before we read the passage, I just wanted a couple of interesting tidbits. The first thing is, like, we started Proverbs with a father speaking to his son and giving some wisdom. Now at the end, in Proverbs 31, we see a mother speaking to her son, giving him wisdom. And his name was King Lemuel. Now we don't know who he was exactly. He could have been a non-Jewish king, or he could have been Solomon, just going by a different name, or even King Hezekiah, some people say. But the point is, it was a mother's wisdom saying, hey, son, this is the kind of woman you want to look for.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's read the passage, and then we'll unpack this. Okay, so who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her. She will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plans the day's work for her servant girls. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instruction with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Charm is deceptive, and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised.
Amen.
Whew.
Amen.
Right? Now we
Amen.
can look, I personally kind of read through that, and I'm like, holy scamoli, I could never measure up to those qualities.
But you can.
Why?
You can. Because even though there's a lot of things in there, if you give your heart to Jesus and allow him to live in you and through you, you can do that.
That's good.
It's just that simple.
So it's through that fear of the Lord, that key here at the end of the passage, the fear of the Lord. If we put God first, he will work through us.
In all things.
In all things. Love it. Okay, ladies, so let's listen to this. We're going to give the top 5 traits that we identified from this passage that we should, all of us as women, should really aspire to have this come out of our lives. Again, because it starts with a heart devoted to God.
It does.
Okay, so the first trait is devoted to God.
Devoted.
Okay, so here's what it says. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plans the day's work for her servant girls. And then verse 30 says, charm is deceptive and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. So what do we see here about her devotion to God?
He's first and foremost. She starts her day out with God. She gives her quiet time with God before she interacts with her children, her husband, her family. It's all about God first. She has to be fed first.
That's good. And so that devotion then sets everything else here
in
motion. Okay, the next trait that we identified is trustworthy. Here's what it says in verses 11 and 12. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life.
Yes.
So what is it? How can we be trustworthy in our own family?
It's important. So like for me, when my husband was deployed, we made sure that we stayed on one accord with the children, with the household. So and he was able to trust me and to know that even though he was far away, he could still trust that I would get those things done.
Right, whether it's managing our finances, whether it's raising our kids or making good decisions, right? Like trustworthiness is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. We're not going to get far without it. And so in that passage, her husband could trust her, and she greatly enriched his life.
Exactly.
So being trustworthy, ladies, is an important quality in our marriages and in our families. Okay, courageous is the next one. Here's what it says in verse 25. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is. It is. Because you have to, if your fear is in the Lord, you have nothing else to fear. And everything that comes your way, you have put it in the trust of God, and it'll all take its place. It'll all be okay. She's not worried.
Right, which I think is amazing. She does not laugh for the fear of the future. And I think that's because, like you said, when we trust in God and we trust his plan for our life, then we don't have reason to fear. We can be courageous. You know, I would even also suggest that as a mom, for me, there have been times where I've had to draw on courage to be able to say, you know what, for my kids, like certain boundaries, like everyone's kids are going to this movie and I just don't feel right about my kid going, or the things that teenagers wear.
Yes.
You know, you go to the store and everything is like these short shorts. And you know, having the courage even as a mom to say, you know what, I'm still going to choose God's wisdom and be wise in this, and I'm not going to just fall prey to whatever our culture tells us to do.
Exactly.
So courage is super important in many ways, trusting the future, just standing up for God's principles all along the way. Okay, here's the next one. An encourager. Verse 26 says, when she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness.
Yes. It's very important that when someone is struggling, it's very important that you do encourage them that, you know, it's going to be okay, but you have to do it with your children. You have to even do it with your husband and your friends. You know, they need to be encouraged as well. So be ready with an encouraging word.
I think especially as moms, it's important that, you know, our kids are inundated by lots of negativity all day long. We should have families and homes where we encourage, that we speak life, we don't speak death. You know, this is where women, I really want to say this too, be mentors to your kids. Talk about Jesus. You know, it says in Deuteronomy 6:7 that we should repeat them all day long as we go to bed, as we walk along the road. Like, we should always be thinking and talking about Jesus with our kids.
I use a lot of PursueGOD when I need to encourage my kids.
Absolutely.
I use a lot of that. I just send a link to them. Hey, this may help you with what you're going through.
That's awesome. Right. There's so many topics there. But just this idea that we should be our kids' biggest fan, including our husbands, that we should be women that are known for being encouragers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the last one then is hardworking. This is a little obvious here, but here's what it says. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness.
Exactly.
Boy, doesn't laziness get us in trouble?
Oh, it does. And it doesn't accomplish anything. And so God doesn't want us to be lazy. We're supposed to be doers, doers of his word. And you're doing that with your family, with your children, with your tasks that come your way. It's very important that you are busy doing the things of God.
Correct. Right. Because idle hands, idle minds, that's what gets us into trouble.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so ladies, that's a lot of information, but that was kind of our top 5. And Tracy, to your point, which I think is really important to come back to, it starts with the fear of the Lord.
It does. It does. The fear of the Lord, letting Jesus not just dwell in your heart, but come out of you.
Yes.
And all these things can be attainable.
That's right. Okay, so ladies, use the questions, have a conversation in your small group with your mentor, and let's all learn about being more, be known for women with godly traits that come out of our lives.
Yes.